All right, good morning. So, quick morning analysis. We're in a nice little trading range pretty much all night long. Not really convinced of either direction. Gonna be pretty cautious today because we know the Fed meeting's today and the interest rate decision is later this afternoon. So it could be a choppy session, kind of anticipating that. I don't know if we'll see a big trend day develop or anything like that. It looks like the market so far has been fairly, pretty nasty range bound. If we look out on the daily, there's not a whole lot going on there. We're a perfect tiny little doji right now, slightly underneath the moving average. Not much to take off from there. We do have our highs and lows marked from yesterday's candle. And then on the hourly chart, kind of a similar situation. Like, we're just really stuck in this trading range. So maybe fading extremes, maybe. But ultimately, it could be a wait day. We'll have to wait and see. But I am going to be overly cautious today, I think. I don't do well in the past on days like today with the Fed announcements and stuff. I think yesterday was the start of their meeting, and today is the second day, and then they give the announcement later this afternoon. Good morning one time. Thank you. Yeah, finally got some trade signals towards the end of the session yesterday. Almost got 2 wins out of it. Could have if I would have cut the first one a little earlier, but it's not really, didn't follow through the way that I was looking for. So I'm trying very hard to not just take a couple points anymore, and I'm trying to actually let the trade play out for the reason that I took it. It's kind of, we'll see. But that's my current objective. All of the trade setups that I have like a specific, goal and reason to get out of them. So I'm trying to execute that a little bit better and not just be happy that I got 2 or 3 points, because my strategy is definitely not designed to take 2 or 3 points. It's designed to, allow me to swing a position. So I'm trying to practice that. But yeah, kind of little nasty trading range. I guess it's like 15 points or so. But watching this pre-market price action this morning, as I've been getting ready, it's really not real interesting to me. Something changes and we develop into an easier read, then we'll get on board. But for the most part, I'm gonna be quite cautious today, I think. And then tomorrow, after the announcements and stuff today, I anticipate that overnight we'll get a move once the market, prices in today, and then maybe tomorrow's session we'll get a follow through of that move. I don't know, we'll see. But see what the price action's like after the first hour. I may cut my trading session off today a little early if nothing develops, just because in theory, the closer we get to the Fed announcements, kind of even the worse I'm gonna perform. Generally, sometimes the market gets even more stagnant as people wait, so I don't want to get caught. But that could all go out the window if the market actually develops into an easier trading trend or something like that this morning. We'll see. Take it how it comes. Try not to put my expectations into the market and just do what it gives me. Damn, we actually opened up like pretty much right where we closed almost. That's pretty wild. Check below a couple of these local swing points. See if this range is just going to continue and keep fading. I'm gonna go a little lower. Check underneath all the overnight little swings, maybe. Underneath 2050. I struggle in these ranges like this usually because I find that by the time that my signal, because of the way that I use candles as my like entry signal, I find that by the time the candle closes and gives me a good signal, my risk to reward from edge to edge is often not big enough for me to really take the risk. This range is like 15 points, so it is definitely big enough if the right situations present. I mean, visually, I don't really expect the low a day to hold here. A little inside bar of indecision. If we check below it and then close above it, I could see a run back up to check the top. But I wouldn't expect it to go further. I'd still be leaning on low a day break. There's our new low a day. Now that's officially checking under our swing points from overnight session. So that would have been the big liquidity pool. See how we react. If we fade back up in, maintain this range, or if, I mean, if we did fade back up in, we could get a test of the other side. If we hold below and close below, maybe we continue lower. We won't want it to go too far if it's going to hold from the liquidity. Otherwise, we're going to be in no man's land again, and we're going to probably go down much further and retest the valley down here. That 4,600 level we talked about yesterday, the market respected pretty well. We were talking about it going there pretty early on in the session, and it went like right there within a couple points of what we talked about. Now we've kind of held, stuck underneath the moving average in this nasty range. Checked underneath the volatility at the end of the day yesterday too. That end of day yesterday, that big sell-off that it did from the top to the bottom, overnight we actually, I don't think, have checked above or below it at all until right now. We just checked below it. Overnight it stayed within that volatility the whole time. We've just checked below it. Not any good bullish signal for us yet to fade. Our third 5-minute candle in a row. Still presenting quite bearish. Do have an inside candle right now. See if we check below. It's inside candle in reverse at all. It closed at its extreme. Visually, definitely not looking like a mean reversion opportunity for me. Market may want to continue down. I guess we're already 3 points under that volatility area. $30 seconds left on this 5-minute candle. Pretty big bear body. Didn't go up at all. Zero wick on that when it opened. Sellers were in control the whole time. Closing it almost on its low extreme. That's not bad looking. Yep. There's a good limit order quick there. But you'd be looking for a test of the moving average. Or that's what I would be looking for as a minimum target. Came right back down, eh? Check the liquidity underneath there. Let's see if we get our second leg. Ooh, I could have got a way cheaper fill. Looks like I'm probably gonna get stopped, actually. I saw it start to buy up and it definitely looked good. All right, so no fade successful there. Presented beautifully. So because we got stopped out off of that pattern, I do expect maybe we'll get a test of our lower area we were looking for, the 4608 valley. Indecision candle, check below, close back up above. Gave us a nice retest entry. Yeah, I definitely wanted that. Didn't even make it to the moving average on the first leg, so looking for that second one. Yeah, 4608 area, and then ultimately back down to the true low of that 45 like 96 area. $46.09, we're getting closer. Well, we're getting our test to the top of that valley now. A little cove in here. Couple indecision candles. The area makes sense for some indecision. Still, ultimately, though, never making higher lows or higher highs. We're still just one timing down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles in a row now. 7. Checked 4608.50. To go one tick below it, yep. Check just above some of these little indecision candles. You check a little higher and reject. Technically, we do register for a nice low one opportunity here, and we're not too far extended past the moving average. We tried here with the hanging man, bought up, tested a little higher. This candle gives us a nice close. We could short. What's it look like on this chart? Doesn't look like it's going to give us a candle close to work from. Did close back down. Unfortunately, if I take the low one off this break, 1050. Yeah, I'm gonna try again. We got an inside candle now. Nice. Test one tick above. Do we get a bearish close? It's a break. It broke. All right. We take it. And we're looking for extension. First candle to make a low. Off the one tick poke. Comes the retest. Nice bearish close. Probably could still get a retest. Haven't really removed risk yet. Been able to yet. If we hold a low, we don't want to hold a low. Here comes a better retest. Okay. There we go. Whew! Buddy. I fought that urge so hard to cut that trade. Oh my god. The discipline practice. That's all I cared about. I didn't even care if it win or lose. Win or lose. Yeah, that's right. I just wanted to not cut it because of fear. I wanted to do it systematically. Can't remove risk on the stop loss until I actually get a candle that makes a high over a previous candle and then extends lower. Thanks, man. Because that next candle could have gone like one tick higher and then rolled over and tagged my stop so easy at break even before the actual move. That is a quick move back up though. And we know we are at the right location for it. And on the 5-minute chart now we have some indecision candles with a check below with what could be, it is the beginning of the 5-minute candle though, so got to be really careful about that because it could close at the other extreme. But that is a quick potential reversal right there. Our low one trade right there and our mean reversion trade right here. I will be honest and say that I was not expecting that much of a push down. I mean, once we didn't hold the liquidity underneath those overnight wicks, I mean, there's only one more spot to go and it is where we've got to now. But visually, because we've came all the way back down this far, I mean, it makes sense for some profit taking and stuff, but really would I want to long off that? Not really. On a larger time frame, I would definitely not. So we may see a test of the actual extreme because we've gotten this far. I don't know, we'll see how this 5-minute candle closes and that will tell a little bit more of a story. Price action so far, they does show quick rejection from that level, but I don't know. I'm a bit, I don't like higher lows and lower highs. Like I don't trade like that. So when I see this type of thing, I don't have any faith in it holding there. I'd rather see it touch the bottom and maybe even a little bit lower and then make a decision. But we got a minute and a half left on this 5-minute candle. It is currently above the 2 previous candle closes. So if it does close above that, it is fairly bullish. If it holds, we could see a move back up to test what we lost this morning. Some of these underside areas. 1 minute left on candle close. It's the same concept as the trade that I took right here. We have 5 candles in a row, one timing to the downside, a small pullback. You take the breakout short underneath the first candle to make a low. However, I disregard the trade when it's stretched from the mean, or I use the moving average. It's way too far away. This one was almost touching it. And in this case, I expect a reversal opportunity instead of a extension. I literally the same setup, but I read it polar opposite based on its direction or distance from the moving average. 5-minute candle did close significantly higher than the previous 10 minutes. So we may see a small move back up, try to close the gap between us and the moving average. What's our volume looking like? Oh, I don't know where my 30-minute chart went anymore. SH. Oh, I see. 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. 30 minutes. Don't need this one. 150K in a period. So very standard, not drive style numbers. And this is definitely drive or close to drive, you know, price action. But with only 150K, the reversal down here is definitely more likely than continuation of the drive. I like to see over 200,000. If I see over 200,000, I kind of expect that trend to keep going. But we might see a fade back in. Not really any actionable trade here for me. The trade that's in play is definitely this long on the 5-minute chart. But I mean, the risk reward is pretty small. You not even really 1-to-1. It is struggling right here at this moving average. Got a reversal spike, pullback, which did make a low under this candle. So then we have our second leg. So we've now successfully done 2 legs. We did like quickly spike, so there was like there was an imbalance here, but no real aggressive continuation. We stalled right back out, which is interesting. A lot of indecision here. Okay, this is the first candle to actually make a low after the spike, so this would be considered one. Still off of this, I try to anticipate a two-leg move. It's a pretty good buy up candle. So we have 1, 2, potentially now making our next push up. Sure looks like it. We got a double top so far. As much as this would then classify as a two-legged pullback on the 5-minute chart, visually it does not look like I want to short it yet. Could fail at this double top maybe and roll over, but it's not really what I would want to see yet. So I'm just going to be patient. Damn, they are closing that at the low off a double top. It's just the 5-minute presentation though really makes me think higher. So I'm not going to trade this. It even actually went one tick below, signaling the trade. We have a signal and a trigger for a double top off what is technically a 2-leg, but it's not perfect, so I'm big chilling. We've already got 2 trades in. I don't want to take a third trade right away that's not perfect. Not perfect for me. Ended up closing as a red doji candle. It might play out. It's trying to. Definitely trying to. It has follow through right away, which is, I mean, increasing your odds, that's for sure. Comes the retest. If you can successfully get candle now to go lower than a previous candle because it went higher now, we could, if we were in this trade, manage it and remove a little bit of risk if it allowed us, presented that way. Just getting pretty close to that top. It kind of looks like it wants to keep going. Lots of indecision through here. There, that candle going lower now would have allowed us, if we were in this trade, to move our stop down a little bit to this new swing point. Couple ticks is all you would have been able to remove, but it's something. But really, kind of how it's presenting even more now, it's like, man, it's just more, it's coiling at this point. It's anyone's guess. We're back down. Do we keep coiling? This length of indecision, I could say that if I was in this trade, I would not be anymore. It's taken too long. It's too much like accumulation or whatever, or distribution. It's too much range happening for too long now. I would have lost confidence in the trade setup. The short off the double top should have shown an imbalance to push us lower relatively quickly. The longer it takes, the longer I'd be losing, the more I'd be losing confidence in it. Yeah, exactly. Yep. There's a lot of people getting stuck right now. Because there was definitely people that would have taken that double top. See if we get a stop out slide here at all, like a spike. I'd be more interested on a short now that I could say the 5-minute chart actually did a two-legged pullback. Yeah, there we go. And we've allowed the moving average to catch up, so we're not as extended. We just would have hit the stops out of all that accumulation, or all the shorts. It didn't close above the breakout level, but it didn't get rejected like super hard either. See how this next candle goes. It's trying to also reject. Closed at the same level. If we can test above, or at least double top with the first candle here, and then closed bearish below this indecision candle, I would take that as a short opportunity. But those are the only two situations that I would do it. Has to come up and test double top or slightly above, and then close lower than 1475, and then I could short, anticipating this to be the second leg of the 5-minute chart, and we will then potentially roll over. Neither of those situations have happened yet, though. Tested the same high as the indecision candle. It did close a smidge lower, but didn't do what I needed it to do upward first. No trade trigger. Does look okay, but I've got to sit on my hands because I'm trying to systemize the trades, and that's not, it didn't give what my trade would trigger, so it's super close, but not quite. Ideally, you want to see this get through the moving average relatively easily. And then at least on the then we have the possibility of it acting as a stealing on the retest. So close to setting up the short, so close. Trying to hold. Moving average still a floor for now. Hasn't gotten through. Retest looks like it closed bearish. That's good. Still possible that this works out. And looking at this on the 5-minute chart is nasty looking. Like, look at all that. Nasty. Little double bottom from the previous one and then popped up over the indecision inside candle. It's not really ideal for the short side. Oh, it didn't keep going. Got 30 seconds on the candle close still. Kind of in the dead middle of this range. That looks very bad for shorts. But again, it is presenting off the dead middle of the range, so it's a pattern that I usually only use on an extended push. So it could be just a small trap to get more shorts in to go shorter, go lower. I don't know. Ultimately, the two-legged pullback is trying to happen right now, but visually it's not great. Didn't fire for me perfectly either, and now we have this potentially happening. Not interested in the limit retest at all. It's basically testing the entry of the trade right now on that pop. If this trade does play out, I would expect a full extension. Lower than 46.05. However, the amount of little volume down there, it may get messy if we were to get back down below these couple 5-minute candles into like 46.09, 46.08. There'd be some liquidity there, so we could see a hold from there as well and a retest. Could get messy. It's not ideal. This two-legged pullback is not clean. It's 11:30. The interest rate decisions aren't till like 3, I'm pretty sure, right? 2 my time. 2 my time. Economic projections, FOMC statement, and Fed interest rate decision. Man, I will say that Bitcoin has been, I did really good last week, and then over the weekend and so far this week, I've got nothing, like almost no trade signals whatsoever. It's been very sideways on the daily chart, and it hasn't really amounted, while I've been in front of the screen anyway, it hasn't really amounted to any trade opportunities that I really wanted. It's been a pretty slow market on that side for me. Nothing really presented clean the way that I was looking for. Backup again, really just not having any follow through on the trade setup. Yeah, it's like from mine it says 1400 to 1430, so yeah, like 2 to 3 o'clock. There's a couple things, I guess. I'm not going to be trading at that point. It is fun to watch though. Don't think it's 2, think it's 3? I'll check yours too. Let me see. Do you you don't trade during that time, eh? You just watch it? Oh yeah, yours does say 3. You right. Man, I need to just start using your calendar. My calendar sucks. I've said this multiple times now. I think I've said it enough times now that I should just admit that my calendar sucks. It's time to switch. Yeah, kamikaze trades. Yeah, man, it's wild when the FOMC, like, not even just the interest rate decisions, man, whenever they're talking, it's so wild. Sometimes you get huge, I mean, today specifically, when that interest rate tick comes over, like the algos that'll spring on like instantly the second that like 3 o'clock candle starts, man, it's crazy, the volatility that gets thrown into the market. You see such big moves, and a lot of the time the move comes all the way back too. It's crazy. Yeah, the fills absolutely can be terrible. So much slippage. Even on my trade the last week there, when I traded into the economic announcement, I got a bad fill because I literally hit the bid at the 11 o'clock rollover candle, like 11:01, like 1 second in, and yeah, man, I got filled lower than I wanted, and my stop out got a tick or two. I think it was just one tick of slippage, so I ended up getting a extra tick in both ways incorrectly. And that wasn't even like a Fed announcement. That was just a standard economic release. So the two-legged pullback never, that signal never fired. Now on the 5-minute chart, it technically hasn't had a candle that went lower yet. So we actually haven't truly fired the trade on the 5-minute chart. Yeah, you can absolutely get hurt. I just avoid it altogether. We've actually came back and touched the moving average now. If we can get through it with any kind of conviction, then it's going to disregard the two-legged pullback at all. But if there was a solid setup for a short, could be a really good opportunity. It's definitely trying to actually regain though. Not ideal. It's going far enough now that we're going to create a floor. Now the market has to get back through these tops and stuff instead of just trying to test above it and failing, which is the ideal two-legged pullback, because it just barely tests above the previous swing and then fails again, showing that second attempt. This one, we've actually created enough of a move that I'm kind of nervous that there's going to be a floor that we could bounce off of now. 1-minute chart is presenting a decent 2-bar right now, but 5-minute presentation, which is actually where the trade setup is forming, I don't care for. It's not perfect. It would have been much better if this one would have done what it was supposed to. So I think I will just be patient. Not gonna try for this. It's got too many things that are making me not want it. So I don't FOMO into anything. I'm gonna take this time to go use the bathroom real quick and refill my coffee. I'll be right back. All right. Oh, looks like we got a little bit of a push up. So we did successfully come back up now and test the undersides of what we lost. It's kind of where we're at. Right back to the bottom of that range. Daily candle probably still looks the same. Yeah, because we're right back up in. Makes sense. Hourly chart came down, tested that valley, held. We're right back up now, testing what we lost. Showing slight signs of maybe a little bit of a top here. It's at a good location to be finding resistance and profit taking on any longs from below. May see a small pullback. We've regained the moving average now, so I would suspect some buy pressure back off of it now. As far as an ideal setup, like what I should be stocking right now, there's really nothing other than potentially a two-legged pullback to the moving average on the 1 minute chart, which would be like a high one on the 5 minute chart. But even that is like, we know there's a range above us and there's a range below us. And basically now we've tested the low and we opened at the high, and we're bouncing in between. So do I want to play trend extension to the upside back into that range? Yes and no. The trades earlier I liked because we had a strong push to the low of a range. Got a nice pattern to get in to maybe come back to the range. It failed. So then I immediately understood that, okay, there's way too much sell pressure. We got a one-timing event which gave a nice low one. All that made sense for the context. But now that we've held and came back, it's the high one. It's kind of the perfect conditions for price to coil, which is the part that makes me nervous. Got that imbalance below and the imbalance above. And we know we have the Fed interest rate happening. So it kind of, maybe we coil back and forth for a little bit, waiting for that announcement. The news anticipation on the day and the price action both kind of lead me towards that thought. I mean, we had our two-legged pullback right there, and it just failed. Didn't close high enough for me to take it as a signal anyway, but the fact that it failed even off that, now we could come back, test these tops. Just not ideal for me. I don't think I'm gonna push it. There's too many factors that are not all lining up. Let's see if we bounce off these tops. If we start to bounce off these tops and the market starts to come back up in, I'm probably going to take that as the confirmation that I have, you know, what I was afraid of. And probably cut myself off to stop looking for trades after that point. The other option is, technically, this was the first opportunity to short after our pop, and our second one didn't happen till here. This is actually the second 5-minute candle that actually made a low under the previous one. So technically, that is the trigger on the 5-minute chart of the two-legged pullback. Visually, it looks awful and not anything that I would ever execute a trade on, but it is technically what just happened. So, like, I guess the extreme would be up test all the way back down, but that would be very surprising. Visually, it doesn't really make sense. I mean, it could, anything could happen, but trying to find some bids here. Doji indecision, followed by inside candle. Are we gonna stay as a second inside candle? did. Doji inside. Market's definitely in breakout mode. It's a small flag, basically. Check below. Do we actually get a push through the low, or do we hold? Oh, it's gone a couple ticks. Did close the low. I'm not really sure what that means, Alicia. Good morning, though. Still holding. Looking like we're still trying to go lower. Not any candle that has gone higher. It didn't fail the breakout. Back down in this previous range. Didn't hold the top of it. Still pushing lower. Kind of back towards the middle of it now. If that two-legged pullback fired up here and actually does come all the way back down and extends, whew, that is nutty. Not doing what I expected. That's for sure. Still, eh? Not a single candle. Oh, this is the first one. We just made a high. The strength in that push, though, through here, showing like, I feel like we should have had more indecision or more buyer control. Fact that we didn't is interesting, to say the least. Just as I say that, we get a little spike, but we have, oh no, it canceled out here. I was gonna say we have a prerequisite for a trade, but no, we do not. We didn't hold the moving average. We failed the 2. As soon as it fails the 2, right? It's a bad sign for trend direction. And then it one-timed right after that failed 2. I actually Googled what you wrote in chat, Alicia, and I'm pretty sure that you are a bot trying to promote software for chat botting, which I don't want any part of, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of you. I actually don't know how to get rid of people. That's funny. I should probably figure that out. Oh, maybe because she's not actually here anymore, I can't get rid of it. Or ban her. I don't know. Anyways. Not here for any of that funny business. You still being patient one time? No triggers for you yet today, eh? Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling too. It's kind of doing what I didn't want to happen. Just trying to find buys from this range of below now again, and we found sells from the range above. We're kind of stuck in between two ranges. Price looks like it wants to keep coiling, and we know that the market is definitely waiting for the news. We had some volatility this morning that we played into, and then that's been really the only thing that's set up nice for me so far. Nice, good stuff, good stuff. Patience. Patience is key for sure. If it ain't AAA setup, we don't want it. Exactly. I mean, this was a pretty convincing push down. We have a two-legged pullback now around the moving average. It tested just above this little accumulation area, which is kind of nice. Got rejected. In theory, this should make a new low. If it doesn't, then price action would definitely be quite wonky for how I read it. 5-minute chart came up. We kind of tested the moving average, trying to hold, but you know, I don't know. It should make a low is how I would want to see it develop. Comes back up above this one, then it really is just trying to hold buyers within this range. We come down and make a low, break below 12. We might see a little bit of momentum quick to the downside. At least that's what I would expect. If this market ends up coming all the way back down and making it a low, man, that was like the biggest two-legged pullback I've ever seen. Definitely not actionable. And I mean, even if I would have taken the trade setup that happened right here and went short under this rejection candle on the extension, I would have only ran it to like here. Right, I would have been playing it as a quick mean reversion back down. Would not have been looking for it to come all the way down to the low a day. That's for damn sure. But the market likes to prove me wrong. So hey. A really low volume down here. The market did not spend any time down there. There was not many sellers down there, and buyers were able to hold that up very quickly. Very minimal contracts traded down there. So because we failed to achieve any highs by the time we get back there, I mean, it's looking more and more like we're going back there. Gonna want to see buyers step in like basically instantly at this liquidity area if they're gonna hold it up. Otherwise it's gonna slide through it very quickly. Still kind of flabbergasted the market's back down here. Huge second leg on that two-leg pullback. So far we went like what, 2 ticks underneath the low? 1 tick. We only went 1 tick so far underneath these small swing points. Sliding. Low participation down there, so like we said, either we slide through quickly or they hold liquidity and we can back up and test moving averages again, undersides. See how it plays out. Not really actionable for me. Not interested in playing into any kind of long here, even if it gives a good signal. Really quite surprised that we're here at all, if I'm being honest. Didn't expect that to play out like that. So extra cautious. The original thesis on the mean reversion that we had this morning after that buy-up candle closed above our indecision candles played out nicely, right? We expected a move back to the moving average minimum and then potentially the undersides. Kind of worked out exactly like that. Then that kind of told us that we were stuck in between 2 ranges. Reacted off the ceiling. We're all the way back to the low. Did we get a new low a day? That two-legged pullback. I mean, it's completed now. Testing the very far extreme. Crazy. Still anticipating a lower low, but we're at the extreme point now. Just trying to hold. Didn't slide through as quick as I expected. I mean, on the 5-minute chart, it looks a little bit cleaner. We do have 3 minutes and a little bit left on this candle, so it could test a little bit and then still close lower, but we now have a potential W. Could hold the low a day. Or this could be a little W trap some longs and then squeeze them out to get the new low a day. Think I'm probably just gonna call it. I'm already here a little bit longer than I probably should have been. I don't want to expose myself to the opportunity to make a mistake, because I know that the market's not really doing what I want. And I mean, visually where we are right now and how we've gotten here, I know there's not going to be a trade setup for me in the next couple minutes for sure. So I think I'm just gonna walk away and not expose myself. Now I do want to do a little bit of my review. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow one time, man. Thanks for being here. Have yourself a good day. When we opened this morning, we had a swing just going into market close yesterday. And overnight, we actually never broke above or below that swing. We went really range bound all night. And into this morning's session, we basically had momentum stepped in straight to the downside right away. Now, when that happened, we were patient. Wasn't really a whole lot of setup happen until we got to 10:45. And then we did get a nice potential mean reversion. Now, generally, there's two situations that could happen. We were either going to check the liquidity point, which was basically where we were, just underneath that swing point, and then fade back up in, or we were going to fall right through the liquidity point relatively quickly and come all the way down and check into this valley, into this previous range. So when we broke into liquidity and I got a nice visual presentation, we went long right here on this pullback, because this is like the nice mean reversion that I like to see. We've got the constant push down. We've got the nice little small indecision candle. Market quickly checks below it, comes back up, closes high above the indecision candle. Was quite nice setup. The only thing that could have been better is that maybe this candle stayed as a full inside candle, but presentation wise, still, I like it. It did give a little quick spike. I think at one point it would have given like a couple points, but that's not why we get into the trade. And we actually got into the trade on the pullback too. So at that point, we were looking for a possible 2-leg move. So I bought on the retest, anticipating that I was going to be able to catch the second move of a move back up in, you know, ultimately testing the moving average as first target. But really, if the trade fully played out, we were reversing from a liquidity point. So we might all of a sudden be able to regain and come back up and test the other extreme of the trend or of the range. It didn't happen. It baited the position, and we got stopped out. Now, that being said, the stop out tells me a clean story, right? Not only is it prevent losers, but the stop out is designed to show you like a key piece of information as well. So we knew that the momentum to the downside was still strong because it didn't hold a liquidity point. So then we actually got a nice 5, 6, 7 candle push in a row, which qualified us to get into a nice one-time short. Market gave a couple attempts at going a little bit higher, and then we actually got a little one-tick poke over this inside candle. And then I knew that if the next candle came down and went below it, that would be the first candle to make a low. That's the trade entry, right? And we were nice and close to the moving average at that point in time, so we weren't too far extended. Everything made sense for another push down. So we got short the second that candle broke below, and we held it for extension. That was great trade. There was no opportunity in this trade to remove risk. It actually went straight to the target before we ever had a candle make a high and then a new low test. So I really fought the urge to trail the stop. I wanted to. I'm not going to lie. I really wanted to. And then as soon as I saw this candle close, I almost closed the trade. But discipline needs to happen in both directions, not only getting into the trade, but managing the trade properly. And managing this trade systematically means that I cannot remove risk or change my stop loss until either the target is hit and the order's canceled, or we get an attempt back up and then continuation, kind of like the lightning bolt pattern. And then I can trail my risk to that next swing point, understanding that if we regain that swing point, now we are probably ultimately going to go higher. So that never happened, and I held, and I had the resting order on extension and got filled. It was great. It was good trade. Ended up making back the loser and a little bit. This loser was good. I'll take that trade every time. The only thing, maybe I think I got a little bit of a shitty fill. All right, so what happened was the trade got the quick pop, and then on the pullback it closed as this like sell down candle. I was like, okay, I'm gonna see what happens if the candle goes one tick below. And I should have had the order resting there, but instead I waited to see what would happen. Now the candle went, at the time, the candle went one tick below and then teased buy up real quick. And I said, okay, this looks great. And I joined the bid. And so I got kind of an expensive fill, trying to look for that confirmation. But really the confirmation, this part I guess didn't really make sense, because the confirmation isn't going to happen until the candle's closed, which at that point I couldn't do, because if it closed way up here, there was no trade. And if it closed way down here, there was no trade. So I had to just kind of get in if I was going to get in. So I did. And yeah, that was the result. So again, I'll take that trade every time. This time just didn't work. And then really there was not another opportunity that I was really interested in, except maybe here. But the reason that I wasn't interested in this trade was because the location. Now, not location relative to the resistance, because that was pretty much perfect, right? We were right into the underside of what we lost. But I was more looking at risk to reward, because at this point I was not looking for this to be a two-legged pullback. At this point I was looking at this as, okay, we've recovered, we're coming back up. Yes, we're going to get some profit taking from longs and some short selling at resistance. However, depending on the signal and trigger and all of that, right, where's our first target? Well, the first target's the moving average. And at that point in time, right, we were going to be looking at like a 2150 entry and a 2450. So 3-point stop, and the target was not even 1-to-1. It looks like 1-to-1. Did I do that wrong? 19. Nah, so yeah. No, it just 21.7. It would have been like basically 1-to-1, almost 1-to-1, which isn't really that good. And I wasn't looking for a 1-to-1 on top of the situation that had just happened, was like really making me indecisive on if we were going to get a big pullback. Like I was not anticipating that whatsoever, not at all. So not really a good execution there. Now, something that I do want to make note of that I have written down, which is a good sign of telling me something, but it's not a actionable opportunity yet, but like I have no strategy for it. But something that I've noticed many times is that if the market gives a two-legged pullback to the moving average and it fails, like even in the strategy I've written down that you don't take that as an opportunity to then look for the third chance. It is instead like a very strong signal that that market is not in pullback mode and actually has reversed, which is what happened, right? Notice this a lot, to the point where it is a rule in the trade that it's only a two-legged pullback and not the third opportunity, even if it looks like a perfect revenge opportunity and you just got stopped out by a little tiny bit and it tries to go again. Doesn't matter. That it is often a very strong signal, and that did kind of line up presentation wise, but again, there was just too many indecision things in my head. I wasn't really ready to take the short, and nor was I interested in taking the two-legged pullback long. I just really wasn't too sure about anything, because at that point now we had rejected the range below and we also are rejecting the high above. So we're kind of ping-ponging. We know that the Fed announcements today, so was trying to be quite careful. And I think we were. I think we did pretty good. I did take the trade setups that presented when there was volatility in the market and it made sense. Here comes our new low. There it is. So that was actually a giant two-legged pullback. It's kind of wild. I never would have guessed that was going to be what happened off of that. And our nice W here was a trap, just like we said. It was either going to be a trap and we were going to one time down to the low, or it was the reversal to take us up. You only got two options at that point. And looking at the chart, right, it made sense now that we're all the way back down here to check the low instead. So that would have been the direction to trade in. But yeah, good day. Finished up a little bit green. We did make back our loser in a little bit, so, but not really focusing too much on the P&L, and I'm trying really hard to focus on the trade execution and management more so, because I know that if I correct this, then that number will get bigger on its own. Because just in my journaling the last couple days, like we're seeing huge point potential if I actually let my trades develop to why I took the trade in the first place, and not just be like, oh, this is a great entry for this, big move to happen, and then I just scalp it out at 2 points or 3 points right away and I miss like the 8-point move. So this is kind of the discipline I'm trying to deploy now, which we were successful in doing here, because before I can pretty much guarantee that I would have taken that right out on this green candle indecision and taken like 2 points out of it and then still been sitting here with a loser bigger than my winner, which is what I'm trying to correct. So yeah, we'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning, and hope you guys have a good rest of your day.